What up, guys? That's Zodiac Acupuncture by Aesop Rock. It's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. um, how's it going, guys? Before we get started today, because this is my last segment of my mock draft, I'm doing picks 21 through 31 today. And before I get into it, I just wanted to say that I really, really appreciate all the views I've been getting and all the comments. Like, that's awesome. I love having conversations with people. And I love that it's like, I'm not perfect, obviously. I don't think this is a perfect mock draft. And, like, I could do a bunch of revisions and throw things here and there, but it's just like, you don't have time. When I'm trying to do, one of these videos each week, it's kind of hard to, like, it'd be impossible for me to sit down and do a new video every single day, which is what I would have to do to be able to keep up with it. So I just put in research and I did one, in a draft format, like as in I'm not moving picks around every day, but, and it's been fun, man. It really is a lot of fun. And I really encourage you guys to, don't be afraid to let me know. That's honestly like one of my favorite parts, is just being able to have a conversation with people about football. Like, that's literally why I'm doing this. And it's just fun, man. So I really encourage you guys, let me know what I did wrong, like you have been doing, which is great. I love having conversations with people. Let me know your mock draft and who you think your team will pick. And what you're looking forward to. The thing about the draft that's so much fun, with football in general, really, but like especially with the draft, is you never know what's going to happen, and weird things happen all the time, as we've just seen with the Rams trading for the number 1 pick a few days ago, which just completely changes everything. In some drafts it wouldn't, but in this one especially, it changes everything. So I'm not going to go back and redo all my lists, but I'm definitely going to take another look at it, and I'm going to do a draft preview video after this one, probably next week, and just kind of talk about that and what effect I think that might have on the draft as a whole. So, again, thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate it, and keep it going, man. Keep telling me how bad I am. I love it. So, okay. So, again, I'm sticking with the same continuity of the picks I had before, and we're going from there. Some guys slid, some guys didn't. It has more of a realistic feel because for whatever reason, like daily, people's draft stock rises, it lowers, and it's really all based on personal opinion and, just like what usually other stuff doesn't change, but certain things like, I had Jalen Smith going to the Bills because I didn't think his knee injury was as serious as it was. I know they're getting a second opinion, and now it looks like he's probably going to miss the entire 2016 season. So clearly he's not going in the first round. But stuff like that, and it's just, I don't know, it makes it have more of a realistic feel to me because, like, sometimes you reach for a player, sometimes you take a safe pick, you take a flyer, and it just, anyway. Now that's all out of the way. Let's get into it. So, I'll recap what I picked so far, even though it doesn't really matter since the draft order's changed and the needs have changed. But I'll still go over it here. So, number 1, I had the Titans taking Laramie Tunsil, which isn't real anymore, and then Carson Wentz going to the Browns, and then Jalen Ramsey going to the Chargers, and then the Cowboys taking Ezekiel Elliott, Jags, Miles Jack. Ravens, Joey Bosa. Niners, DeForest Buckner. Eagles, Jared Goff. The Bucks, Kevin Dodd. And then the Giants, Ronnie Stanley. And then the Bears, Leonard Floyd. And then the Saints, Laquan Treadwell. And then the Dolphins, Vernon Hargraves. The Raiders, A'Shawn Robinson. The Rams, Reggie Ragland. The Lions, Shaq Lawson. The Falcons, Jack Conklin. The Colts, Sheldon Rankins. The Bills, Jalen Smith, which isn't going to happen now. Then the Jets, Eli Apple. So, that brings us to number 21. The Redskins. They were a playoff team last year. Kirk Cousins, you like that? Sure, I like it, Kirk. I will say that I like it. And they tagged him for was it a 3 year, 15 a year, something like that. So pretty decent contract. So they're holding on to him, or maybe it was 19. Was it 19? I don't even remember. Pretty big one. So with that being said, you kind of want to surround this guy with weapons. He has some good ones. A lot of smaller speed guys. So I thought here, get him a bigger receiver that goes up and gets the ball, because they have a good tight end in Josh Reed, and then obviously a couple burners with Deshaun Jackson, and then that other returner guy, I forget his name. But if you have a big guy, big receiver that goes up and gets it, I think that would help Kirk a lot. So I'm going Josh Doctson there out of TCU. Probably my favorite receiver out of the draft. Him and Laquan I like a lot, but I'm a Vikings fan, so I would like, if we took a receiver this year, I would want us to take Josh Doctson, but, I think that makes sense to the Redskins there. Good route runner, really great hands catcher, not great speed, but he's a big guy, that doesn't bother me much. Okay, so then we have the Texans at 22. They made a free agency splash by signing the quarterback Brock Osweiler. In a shocker, I honestly didn't ever think that he would leave the Broncos. I thought that was nuts. They gave him a huge contract, so because you have so much money tied up with him, again, sort of similar to the Kirk Cousins situation, I think you got to give him weapons right off the bat, and he has that awesome receiver. DeAndre Hopkins. Whew, that was close. Number 10, he's one of my favorite receivers in the league. He's awesome. So I think you give Brock Osweiler another target. And I'm going Will Fuller there. Will Fuller I'm not as high on, but he's got amazing speed, maybe the fastest player in this draft class. Not a great route runner and not a great hands catcher. He's okay. You can learn to run better routes. Can you teach better hands? I don't know. He's okay. It's not like he drops every ball, but sometimes it's a little bit like, can you be more than a return guy, basically, But I think that if you put him in that system and the majority of the throws are going to DeAndre Hopkins, and you get another speed guy like him, I think that would help a lot. So I think that gives them a more dynamic offense, and they also signed Lamar Miller from Miami, who's also a great running back. So I think just keep building that offense for Brock Osweiler. Protect your investment. Make sure your investment grows. So I think that makes sense there. All right, then at 23 we have the Vikings, my team, and I could have gone a couple different ways here. Pretty much everyone's saying Doctson. Obviously on my list he's not there. And I'm not sold on us needing a receiver. I know everybody and their mom says that we do. Yeah, we probably could use one, but honestly, I don't really see a glaring need anywhere. But right there I'm going TJ Green, the safety out of Clemson. His tape is awesome. He's not a classic ball hawk or anything. He's just a down and dirty, big hitter, nasty type guy, which I love. And our defense was really good last year, especially towards the end of the year. And with Harrison Smith, if we could use another elite safety, that would just make our defense gangbusters. We re-signed Andrew Sendejo, but he's barely a starter, honestly. He's basically a glorified special teamer that plays safety. I love it. I like Andrew Sendejo. I think he's good, but we re-signed him, which is fine because he knows the defense and he can fit in there, but he's not a great player. But I think if you get a talent like TJ Green, who's a guy who's great against the run, he's a big hitter, he's good at blitzing. Not as good ball skills, but we have Harrison Smith, who's the best of all that. He's amazing. So I think TJ Green adds another element, because really when you have that safety that's got great, speed coming out of their break, honestly, he's not a running back, but you know what I mean, stopping and starting. Because against the run, if they do a pitch and the linebacker's getting out there and that safety can just zip in and hit them like Earl Thomas, I mean, that helps a lot. Like, that's a huge dimension. I think he would fit in swimmingly to our defense. So I actually really like that pick a lot. Okay, so then we have the Bengals at number 24. Could have gone a couple different ways here. I think the two most glaring needs for them are probably wide receiver and corner. They're okay at corner. They're just getting a little bit old other than Dre Kirkpatrick. So they could use another big guy there, but they lost Mohamed Sanu and Marvin Jones in free agency, so they really could use another receiver for Andy Green. So I'm going Corey Coleman there. Pretty safe pick from Baylor. Another speed guy like Will Fuller. He runs 3 routes, a deep post, deep go, and whatever the other one is. But when you watch him, you can't help but be like, this guy's fast. Like, he's just really good. That's kind of what Marvin Jones was for them. I think he fills that void. They could, I think, later in the rounds go up and get a bigger receiver if they wanted to. I mean, Tyler Eifert's a big guy, so, it's whatever they think they want to build their offense around, and I think that Corey Coleman fills the void that Marvin Jones left as a deep threat speed guy. So that fits in pretty well there. And then the Steelers are at 25. And this was a little more difficult for me because they could have gone a couple different ways. Their offense was really good when it wasn't all banged up. Like, it seems like their offense could be easily the best in the league if all their people were healthy. Like, if Ben was healthy for 16 games, if Antonio Brown was healthy for 16 games, and if Le'Veon Bell was healthy for 16 games, they would probably be the best offense in the league. But unfortunately, that hasn't really happened that much. So, and then their defense started off poorly, but really started to build towards the end of the year, and the playoffs played pretty well because they're all so young. They're just a bunch of young guys, so it kind of took a while. Once the chemistry started to go, they played pretty well. So I think you should build on that, honestly, because you could, I don't know, they have so many weapons on offense. Like, honestly, I think their defense needs more help. So I'm going William Jackson III, which a lot of people are high on. I like this guy. When you watch his tape, it really stands out to you. He has a great highlight reel because he's a ball hawk, and he's big and he's fast and he makes plays, and it's fun to watch. Honestly, like, he's when you throw on the tape, you're like, wow, this is awesome. Like, almost like a little bit like Ed Reed in a way, but different. But I mean, just the fact that he's an athlete, he's big, he's fast, and he can make plays on the ball. Those are all great things. The only thing I have with William Jackson that I don't necessarily like. Well, it's not that I don't like, but I could see as a problem. And, like, what do I know? I'm just a guy with Chewbacca on my wall, sitting in a room. Is that he's a great athlete, but his fundamentals aren't great. And there's plays where you're like, wow, that's amazing. But there are definitely some plays where he kind of mistimes a route, kind of almost breaks coverage, but because of his unique athletic ability, he's able to make a play, which is great and it's fun to watch. But in the NFL, you can't really rely on just your athletic ability unless you're an amazing, unbelievable talent to get by. And even if you do, you're not going to last. Like, it takes hard work and fundamentals and then let your athletic ability push you further after that. So with his, I see like a lot of awesome, amazing plays, but I also see some of those amazing plays that in the NFL against way better competition he would miss on those plays. He's a jumper, so I think a lot of pump fakes are probably going to get him because he is a ball hawk, like I said. But all that speculation, like, I don't know what's going to happen. For all I know, he could be the next Deion Sanders. I don't know anything, but That's just kind of my gut feeling, and I think that's kind of why he's lower on people's lists. I think that's why Jalen Ramsey's so high, because he makes all those amazing plays, but he's such a stout fundamental corner and safety that's when you're like, that dude's special. Whereas William Jackson is like, this dude could be amazing, but again, his fundamentals, some of his ball skills are great, but like he could be beaten easily. I guess is what I'm trying to say. So then we have the Seahawks at 26. Wasn't really sure where to go here either. Their offense, it seems like whenever you try to add a high profile weapon to their offense, it doesn't play as well. Like after 2012, when everyone was like, these Seahawks, they're something special, like they're going to do something. And then in 2013, they signed Percy Harvin. And the first couple weeks, they tried to get him involved, and it just didn't really work that well. And then he got hurt, and they went back to their regular offense and played great and won the Super Bowl. And it was just like, okay. And then that's kind of what happened with Jimmy Graham. Like they traded for Jimmy Graham. Everyone thought, wow, this is amazing. They're gonna light it up. And then they just didn't. They were trying to focus too hard on getting him the ball. And then once he got hurt and wasn't really playing, then their offense took off again. Like who knows? So I think if you would go a high end offensive player there and really try to get him the ball, I think that kind of hurts your offense in a lot of ways. So I'm not going there just because I have a little hesitation with that. So I'm actually going Jaron Reed out of Alabama, the D tackle who lined up next to A'Shawn Robinson. Now A'Shawn Robinson is a sexier player, I'll say, is because he has better pass rush. He seems a little bit more nimble. But what Jaron Reed has is he is fantastic against the run. Like, he's good against the pass, he's good, but he's really great against the run. Big guy, but not overly big, just stout, hard to block, really great against the run. And those guys are super underrated in the league, in my opinion. So I think, will he fit with the Seahawks defense? Who knows? People can sit here and speculate and say that he's not the right fit, whatever. But I think who really knows is basically my point. And I think if you can stop the run, then you can't really let teams just run the clock out on you. And the Seahawks lost some close games last year. And I think just the added element of having a dude who can really be great against the run saves you more time for your offense in the long run. And maybe, those close losses last year turn into wins because you have more time on the clock. Who knows? That kind of fit up in my mind, so I think that would be a good pick there. Okay, so then we have the Packers at 27, which the NFL schedule release came out the other day, and the Packers have the easiest schedule apparently according to that. But again, who knows? So that was kind of a harder one too. I was thinking Taylor Decker's still on the board from Ohio State, the tackle. For me, I don't know. I was looking at a couple different places because you could give him another receiver there, but like what high-end receiver is really worth going there? I don't know. I think it would be like a reach. And then their defense was okay, but you can always be better. They're still trying to figure out what to do with like Clay Matthews. They try to put him inside, and he just hasn't played as well, so they got to get him back outside. So if Reggie Ragland was there, he would be a good pick, but I had him going to the Rams, which is now the Titans' pick. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go Darren Lee out of Ohio State, the outside linebacker. And I know what you're thinking, Julius Peppers, Clay Matthews, outside linebackers. Do you need another one? Well, Julius Peppers lately has played more DN than outside linebacker. Plus, he's old as hell, so he's probably going to retire here soon. Darren Lee has great tape. He's fun to watch, but he just... I think he's fun to watch. I think he's really good, but there's just... I don't know. He doesn't jump out to me as a great high-end player. I think this is just me talking. I don't know. But I just think I think he could be a solid player for a while, but I just don't ever see him being a top end, like one of the best linebackers in the league. I don't know that, but that's just kind of what I see. But it is nice to have a guy who is good, and those guys are kind of underrated too, because you need guys who can fit your system until you're able to find the generational type players like a Clay Matthews, who's like a franchise player. And I think he fits that role. And it's never wrong to add weapons to your defense. Another pass rusher would help a lot. You could go DT there, but I don't know. I just kind of like Darren Lee there, so I'm going Darren Lee. Okay, and then we have the Chiefs at number 28. This was another hard one. I was thinking another weapon for Alex Smith. Again, there's not really a receiver worth taking with that pick, in my opinion. And you could go tight end, but they have a good tight end. So then you look at their defense. Marcus Peters played great last year, their rookie corner. And then Eric Berry came back, had a Pro Bowl year, was fantastic. Comeback player of the year. And then Justin Houston, Tamba Hali. A lot of high-end talent on that team. So for this one, I'm going to go Robert Nemdici, I think is how you say it, from Ole Miss, the defensive tackle. And he really... Sorry, I thought I saw something. I messed up, but I didn't. Sorry. Okay, so Robert Nemdici, he is just another one of these great defensive linemen. Like, this class is stellar. And honestly, with almost every pick, you could be like, I don't know, defensive tackle, defensive end, outside linebacker. Because, like, that's literally that's probably 60% of this first round. Or, like, it's nuts how amazing this class is. But, in all reality, probably 2 or 3, maybe 5 of these guys will be good 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and the rest will be whatever. That's just unfortunately how it goes most of the time. But I like Robert Nemdici. He's kind of one of the more underrated ones in this class. But I think in any other defensive tackle class, he would be like number 2, number 3, maybe number 1. Right now, he's for me sits at about 5 or 6, but he's really good against the run. Seems like a guy who really wants to get in and get after it and grind. And just from what I've seen, he's really impressed me, with his interviews and just kind of what he said. And I don't know, I just feel like with the Chiefs, they have Dontari Poe, that DT, who's great against the run, or great against the pass. I mean, good against the run. He was a workout warrior. Has played great for him lately. And then if you put another big athletic tackle next to him, I think all you can do is help, and then help those linebackers too. So then we have the Cardinals at 29. This was another harder pick. Some people think the Cardinals were the best team in the league last year. That's safe to say. They got whooped by the Panthers and almost beat by the Packers. So I don't know if you can say that. Definitely towards the end of the year, but the week 17, they got their ass kicked by Seattle. And then they went into the playoffs and almost got beat by Green Bay, who wasn't playing super well. And then got their asses kicked by Carolina. So it's like, can you really say they were the best? Up until the end of the year, probably the most complete. But it seems like they always get hurt down the road and just keep getting hurt like crazy. This is another one where they could have added their offense. They have a plethora of receivers, so I wouldn't go there. Their rookie running back really stepped up for him last year, that David Johnson. And they have Chris Johnson and that 38, whatever his name is, that super fast guy, Andre Ellington. So they're really set. They have a lot of depth. So I'm going to go on their defense. I'm going to give them another corner to go with Patrick Peterson, maybe the best in the league. I'm going to go Artie Burns out of the U. he's another guy who has great ball skills. This corner class is quietly pretty good. I've been noticing, but Artie Burns is good, another raw guy, but this dude is a ball hawk. He has a lot of interceptions, makes a lot of plays on the ball. Really impressive. Not super big, but really quick. Plays really fast, and really maybe the best ball skills of any of the corners, other than maybe Jalen Ramsey. But just the way he high points balls, how he really he looks like Ed Reed out there, but as a corner and short, and not as athletic. But I don't know. I just see him and he stands out to me. He's a type of guy who I look at him like a Jonathan Joseph type, smaller dude, great ball skills. A scrappy type guy, who would have a great career in the league for a long time. That's kind of what I see in Artie Burns, honestly. I think he could be a really good pro. Okay, so then we have the Panthers at number 30. This one was a little bit tough as well, and if you look at their Super Bowl performance, you think they need a receiver pretty badly. Unfortunately, again, you would be definitely reaching for a receiver at this point, I would think. And Kelvin Benjamin's coming back, because you could go with that, what's his name, out of Ohio State, that bigger receiver. I forget his name, but he's pretty good, pretty raw. And then you have that Braxton Miller, but he's an athlete. You just don't know if he's going to be a great receiver or just a good athlete who happens to play receiver. The other thing that really stood out to me in that game was that their offensive line just didn't play well. So I'm going Taylor Decker there from Ohio State, and he dropped, dude. He could have been way up there. A lot of people like him a lot, but he's going in the first round to a really good team, and, you can never have enough good linemen. Honestly, I don't care who you are. I don't care how good your line is. If somebody gets hurt, you need a great backup, and he could come in and probably be better than what they have now. I think their line overperformed throughout the year. Just kind of like where their talent level was for a while. They were playing here, and people were, I think for a while people were like, holy cow, this line is fantastic. This is amazing. But then really their talent level was here, so when they hit that big competition, it kind of brought them down, and then they were kind of surprised too, and then they just went down further. So I just think Taylor Decker would be a good pick there. I think he could come in, shore up that offensive line, give you some young talent. You got to keep Cam Newton up, and he's good against the run too, which obviously helps them. They could use a running back, honestly. Jonathan Stewart's getting old. He's always hurt. I would have loved to see Ezekiel Elliott go there, but probably not. And then with that Derrick Henry, does he fit their scheme? They're more of a zone running scheme. They're not necessarily downhill. And Ezekiel Elliott would fit it better, but he's long gone by this point. So then number 31, the final pick in the draft. This was an easy one for me. Paxton Lynch, the quarterback out of Memphis. I like Paxton Lynch a lot. Honestly, this quarterback class is okay. It's just a lot of unknowns. Carson Wentz, who knows if he's going to be good or not. He's just an athlete from a small school who doesn't have high-end competition. Honestly, who knows? But I like Carson Wentz. Jared Goff is okay. I just think he'd be better. He's probably the most pro-ready, and he'll probably be the best right away. But I think down the line, I don't know if he has a big ceiling or not. But just lately, Paxton Lynch has really been impressing me. Again, I'm a sucker for big arm quarterbacks. What can I say? And he's got amazing deep ball accuracy. It's honestly impressive. And he ran kind of a weird offense at Memphis. It was kind of a spread out of the pistol, kind of a weird thing. But I loved when at his pro day, and he blew me away at his pro day, honestly. All three of these quarterbacks had great pro days. His really stood out to me because sometimes on tape you're kind of like, yeah, okay, like you look good, but like who really knows? But I don't know. For some reason, the pro day he really stood out to me, and then his tape just looked better and better to me. And I don't know. I see him as like a better version of Brock Osweiler. He's got a bigger arm. He's a huge guy too. Better mobility. He doesn't. I don't know if he has the intermediate accuracy of Brock Osweiler, but I think starting out he's a much better prospect, and I think he's got better high end talent. And I really liked Brock Osweiler last year. Like he really impressed me. I was all for him. I don't know. There's something about Paxton Lynch that I really like, and hopefully he's not a bust because I honestly really like him. So that's it. That's my whole mock draft, man. Let's go back through it one more time. So again, none of this matters because it all changed, and I know I'm wrong, but we'll go back through it here quick. So we have the Titans taking Laramie Tunsil, and the Browns taking Carson Wentz. The Chargers taking Jalen Ramsey. Ezekiel Elliott to the Cowboys, Miles Jack to the Jags, Joey Bosa to the Ravens, DeForest Buckner to the Niners, Jared Goff to the Eagles, Kevin Dodd to the Bucks, Ronnie Stanley to the Giants, Leonard Floyd to the Bears, Laquan Treadwell to the Saints, Vernon Hargraves to the Dolphins, and then A'Shawn Robinson to the Raiders. And then Reggie Ragland to the Rams, Shaq Lawson to the Lions, Jack Conklin to the Falcons, Sheldon Rankins to the Colts, Jalen Smith to the Bills, not going to happen. And then Eli Apple to the Jets, Josh Doctson to the Redskins, Will Fuller to the Texans, TJ Green to the Vikings, Corey Coleman to the Bengals, William Jackson III to the Steelers, Jaron Reed to the Seahawks, Darren Lee to the Packers, and then Robert Nkemdiche to the Chiefs, Artie Burns to the Cardinals, Taylor Decker to the Panthers, and then Paxton Lynch to the Broncos. That's it. That's my whole mock, man. That was a lot of fun, honestly, and it's hard work, man. I know it's easy to sit back and think, well, they're not going to take that guy there, they're not going to take this guy here, they want this guy. And, like, every team has a different draft board. You know, every team values every player differently. So one guy might be number 1 on somebody's list, might be number 12 on somebody else's list. Honestly, you just don't know. And draft day is so much fun because, honestly, most of the time it goes in crazy directions that you never see coming. So I like my list, and that's why I don't like to change it a bunch, because it's just like when the draft happens, there's no changing, there's no saying he's not going to fit. It's just boom, 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 and you never know who the guy ahead of you is going to take, so you just got to be ready on your game to take the best player available, you know, looking at positions or otherwise. So, again, I really appreciate all the views I've been getting, all the feedback. I honestly love it. So, yeah, let me know. You know, tell me who you think's going to go where. What are some of the prospects that, you know, some people aren't as high on that you love? Like, for me, Leonard Floyd and Paxton Lynch, a couple of the guys, especially Leonard Floyd, I've come to love. A lot of people aren't super high on him, but I love him. Some of the guys they had high, their draft stock is falling. Why is that? I don't know. Who do you think is going to be the steal of this draft? Honestly, just let me know down below. I would love to hear some of your guys' mock drafts. Tell me all this stuff on YouTube. Hit me up on Twitter as well. My Twitter is LukeLarson89. Yeah, just tell me your mock drafts, who you think is going to go, what are some of your favorite players, who do you think is overrated, who's the most overrated player in the draft. You know, for me, maybe it's Jared Goff, you know, DeForest Buckner, I'm not high on either. Some people it's Joey Bosa, you know. But yeah, honestly, let me know. I love it. I will do a draft preview video next week talking about some of the changes that have happened and maybe what's going to transpire through that. And then I'll do a draft recap after it with a friend of mine. So thanks again for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I threw my phone, so I can't have outro music. Sorry about that. But until next time, keep checking me out. I'm going to go and live my life. You do the same.